Hi, everybody. This is Marypatriece Raupp. I'm the spiritual leader for Unity Spiritual Center of Woodstock.
And I'm Reverend Tom. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
So we're learning this new technology as we go. So if we make mistakes, I hope you will give us some leeway on that. Today is Sunday, March 29th. Of course, it's Shelter-in-Place Day. So we are coming to you from our home and wishing you a really great morning and a welcome, and so grateful that you're here. If you've never heard of us, so we are Unity Spiritual Center of Woodstock, and we believe that we operate from more of a spiritual than a religious way of being. We meet each Sunday typically and share time together and just really walk the path together, as we know everyone is, especially during these times. So we're so grateful for you to be here. You can always find out more information about us on our website, and that's unitywoodstock.org. Welcome to you and good morning.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. What a joy it is to be here today. And we say we're more spiritual than religious, and by that we mean that we see the presence of God. We call it the Christ Spirit within each and every one of us, and we direct that Spirit by means of our thinking. So I'm glad you joined us today, and shall we get started?
Let's get started.
Okay. Shall we start with the 5 unity principles?
Mm-hmm. The 5 unity principles are the foundation for unity belief systems. And this is really all you need to know about us as far as our perspective and how we look at the world. So would you like to start with the first one?
I'd be happy to start with the first one. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God, the good omnipotence. And what we mean by that is there is no contrary power to God in the universe. There is only one power. We don't believe in evil or the devil, although while you may see those things, it is because of the way some of us choose to use this enormous power that is within us. But we all have it, and we all are free to use it as we see fit.
Mm-hmm. The second unity principle is... Lori. Hi, Lori. I don't know. I hope you're able to see us. We are streaming now. The second unity principle is the Christ Spirit lives within me. That means that we are made from that Christ Spirit, that we have the essence of Christ within us, and we can live each day and each moment from that knowing and that awareness.
Mm-hmm. And if I seem distracted, it's because I'll be attempting to text back to people who bring questions up on the screen, so please forgive us for that. The third unity principle states that thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. In other words, we become what we think, and we experience what we think about, and whatever we think about and focus on expands in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And the fourth unity principle is I experience God's presence and power through prayer and meditation. So we do encourage the opportunity and the practice of going into meditation and prayer on a regular basis so that you feel more grounded and you feel that sense of presence within you as part of your life in each moment that you're alive, and that you can tap into it, especially in those moments where you're uncertain or maybe even feeling fearful.
Mm-hmm. And the fifth unity principle is I put my faith into action by demonstration. So what we're saying is this isn't just theory and philosophy. We say you can prove these principles work by putting them into your life. Just talking about them, thinking about them, and theorizing about them is part of it. However, we must apply these principles to our lives, and you will see a change in your life. And which really brings us to the topic of our talk today, and would you care to share what that is?
Our topic today is called the law of attraction. So I want to know what you feel the law of attraction is in your life.
So I get to go first.
You get to go first.
Okay. To me, the law of attraction works in two different ways. And I think one of the most common beliefs about the law of attraction, which is, I believe, true, is that if I want something in my life and I focus on getting that thing, let's just say I want the perfect job. If I focus on the perfect job and all of my actions and thoughts and prayers are consistent with that idea, that I will attract or welcome the perfect job into my life. So in some ways, I think the law of attraction is seen as something that will manifest in the future. And I believe that's true. And also, when we focus on something and really believe in it and take the steps I alluded to, all sorts of things happen in our lives that we would never imagine because we have attracted those things. We'll meet people we never thought we'd meet. We'll have thoughts when we're stepping out of the shower or something like that. And we will attract all the things that we need for that job we're thinking of or what else. But the other way I think the law of attraction works is that as soon as I begin thinking about something, I start to have the experience of it. So I attract that experience almost immediately, or in fact, immediately as soon as my thought goes there. An example might be thinking of a vacation. Let's say we want to plan a vacation. As soon as we start planning that vacation, the excitement starts, right? You get uplifted. In some ways, I recall times I didn't feel well and I'd make an appointment with the doctor or something. As soon as I made that appointment, I felt a little better. So I think the law of attraction works not only in the future, but also right now, in that we experience that which we're thinking about. So that's my 2 cents. Maybe that's a nickel's worth on the law of attraction. How about you? What is your view of it? How do you see it?
Well, I understand and I resonate with all the things that you say, but I also believe that the law of attraction works whether you're aware of it or not. I feel that when we come into life and we have experiences and we grow up and we hear messages and we understand or we look at the world through a certain view or a certain lens because of our experiences and our ideas about it, that sometimes we can even attract things to our lives that maybe we don't want. I also believe that, whatever we're attracting is resonating or connecting with that experience that we've had. So if I'm saying to you, gosh, I feel like I just keep going around and around in circles and I'm always doing the same thing. I've always got the same kind of relationship happening. There's something not right. I can never get ahead with my job. Money just never comes in. I feel as though that law of attraction is working with that because my expectation of what my life will be about is showing up. And if my expectation is it's always going to be the way it has been, there's not a lot of opportunity for change. So, and right now, there's a lot of feelings that people are having, especially with everything that's going on. And so what is it I'm expecting? What is it I'm looking at? How am I perceiving what's happening? And what is it I'm aligning my thoughts to attract more of? So I wonder so much about that. And I think about, we talked before this about our talk and we were looking at the Bible and considering where does this show up in the Bible. And for me, it shows up in the Bible in the Old Testament. When Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, when they were there and they were enslaved and their whole being was, I want to be free. And it even says in there, God heard his people that they wanted to be free. They resonated so directly with that, and their whole heart was in that idea of wanting to be free. And when they did become free, what happened? They kind of lost their momentum and forgot it was sort of like the organic way of visioning, the organic way of seeing a possibility for their life, and they were attracting that freedom to their life. But when it actually came, they kind of lost some ground.
How do you mean?
Well, they started complaining about things not showing up the way they wanted them to, and so that you're like, we don't have any food, so food showed up. You know, they attracted the food. We don't have water, so water showed up. But after that, it didn't seem like there was that strong inside core desire for something. They just kind of got distracted with what was happening on the outside. Look where we are. We're in a desert. What can we possibly get here? Wow, maybe we should have stayed in Egypt because it was so much easier there in some ways.
Yeah.
So their mindset wasn't about projecting forward. Their mindset was about only experiencing what was in front of them then and looking backward. So I think about that and I wonder, is there anything in me that's doing that right now? Am I seeing anything beyond what's happening in front of me? Am I looking back and saying, gosh, I wish it was, 2 months ago where we could go out to eat or we could go shopping whenever we wanted to? Am I only holding those ideas in my mind? Or am I starting and creating a vision of what I'd like to attract? What do you think?
I liked your story. I recall the part where the Israelites say, maybe we would have been better off as slaves. And then you're stuck in that you're attracting the slave mentality and you're not looking at what could be. And it took them generations to begin to see what could be.
Yeah,
right?
I
think you said that.
A lot of generations.
Yeah. So I like that story. I think it's a good example of the law of attraction. They attracted freedom, or at least freedom from slavery. And because that's what they wanted, and then things happened so they could experience it. So yeah, I agree.
And you know what? And I think you brought up something really important. It took generations for people to start seeing or being able to envision again for them. I think about today and how even just a year ago, I think of my kids and it's like, wow, look at the types of jobs they're getting. They're going for their dream jobs. They're not holding out for just an entry-level position. They want to start out at a certain level, at a certain wage, and move up from there. And I think, wow, kind of, that's pretty high thinking. I never would have thought of that. I look back at my own life and think about my own story, and I started out as a cashier and I worked my way through and I went through college, and they're not doing that. They're going right away into the dream they want. So their vision is already manifesting, and it's amazing me how many people tell me their child has this dream job they never thought of, and they were able to buy this 4-bedroom house. And I think, wow, is it that I'm not dreaming big enough, or is it that they've figured out how to vision quicker than I have?
Yeah, and if I think of generations, our generation might look at these young folks who want it all right now and say, well, you can't have it all right now, you have to work your way up.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of a slave mentality in a way. It's like, this is how it used to be, it's how it's always going to be.
Yeah.
And they're seeing the possibilities. So maybe we could learn from them.
I think we can.
Okay, cool. And to me, a story that resonated with me regarding the law of attraction is that it too occurs in the Old Testament. It's in the book 1 Samuel, and it's a story that I trust most of you have heard about, the story of David and Goliath. And in the story, Goliath is described in bigger-than-life ways. Quoting from the Bible, it says, and there from out of the camp of the Philistines, who the Israelites were going to fight in war, is a champion named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So I looked up cubits, and 6 cubits would mean he was over 10 feet tall, and I don't know how long a span is, but he was more than 10 feet tall. Well, he wasn't. But to them, he was, because in their minds, they had exaggerated his prowess and his strength. And so by thinking he was that big, that was their experience of him, and that he couldn't be defeated. And, it went on to describe him as totally armored in bronze, and bronze is extremely heavy, and yet this guy was strong enough to carry this heavy armor. So everything that was thought and said about him, which means maybe we ought to watch what we talk about during these times and any time, just exaggerated even more his prowess and his strength and the inability to defeat him and meet him on his terms. And it said, when the Israelites saw this man, they fled. Now, to make a long story short, there was David. And David was a youth. So I don't know what youth means. Maybe he was 12, 14, 15 years old. And he says, and he knew that whoever defeats Goliath gets the hand of the queen. He says, I want that. So he said, I'll go fight this guy. And initially the Israelites laughed at him. But his dad, Saul, says, okay, I'll clothe you in armor to protect you. So they his dad put his armor on David, and it was too big. And could you imagine how unintimidating that would be? Some young kid in armor that doesn't fit, you'd almost laugh at him.
Do you know, can I just you saying that makes me think of, youth to me means new ideas and new energy. And here they're trying to put on old systems to protect him and to make him ready for battle. And they don't work.
Right. And that's what David said. David said, this doesn't work for me. And hearing him put that armor on reminds me when I was a kid, maybe 8 years old, I had a Chicago Bears helmet that was about 6 times too big for me. But I used to love it to wear it around the house in the neighborhood. I probably looked rather ridiculous. So I get it. Anyway, David says, this doesn't work for me. This is your way, not my way. So he used his imagination and ideas that were consistent with who he is. He says, I'll just pick up these 5 smooth stones and my slingshot, and I'll go out and I'll meet this guy. Well, no one really believed in him, but what the heck. So he goes out to the battlefield, and there stands this monster Goliath. And they look at each other, and they trade insults and threats. I won't go into those. But David does say, I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to cut your head off. So Goliath starts to come toward him. And immediately David moves toward Goliath, in other words, moves toward the problem, but stays far enough away where Goliath can't touch him. And when he was close enough, David used his slingshot and boop, took one of those stones, hit Goliath in the forehead, knocked him out. Goliath collapsed, and I won't go into detail about how David drew his sword off and finished the deed. But David attracted to him the outcome he wanted because he believed in it. And he saw himself defeating Goliath. And in my mind, this compares a lot to what's going on now in our culture with the coronavirus. It's a Goliath. It's huge, but I want to be abundantly clear, it's not an exaggeration, okay? I have to confess, initially in the first few days, I thought it might be. It's not. It's serious stuff. It's as big as the Israelites thought Goliath was, right? So how do we reach into our bag of 5 smooth stones and deal with this monster? We can't just go out and say, I don't care about it, I'm going to live my life. So some of the smooth stones that I've heard during these times, of course, would be prayer and meditation. Another would be shelter in place. We need to isolate ourselves for a while. Continual hand washing and hand sanitizing. And also, I would call it physical distancing. In fact, I would avoid the term social distancing because we want to stay connected. that's what we're trying to do here, is
Sure.
social connection. So let's not say we're going to socially distance, but yeah, we need to physically distance from each other for a while. What do you think? How about you? What do you
Well,
see as our 5 smooth stones
You
that
know,
we can?
I think I would add to the list is, and something that we teach in school with students, but we as adults need them too, and those are strategies to reduce the stress, and there's a lot of them out there. So some of them that we've learned is like 4 square breathing, where you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you keep the air out for 4, and just do that to settle your system down, keep it from your mind from racing, keep your body from racing. Another thing is counting backwards from 10. Close your eyes, deep breathe as you're doing that. And my great friend Kim gave me a couple of new ideas that I'd never heard of, but I thought, wow, these are really helpful. Because what she shared with me is a lot of times when you're under stress, your focus becomes like a tunnel vision, because you are so, it's your adrenaline kick, your flight or fight response. So your vision just closes down to manage the idea of what you're trying to deal with. So she talked about peripheral sight. And so when you do this practices, you look at an object, but your idea is not to focus on the object that your pupils are looking directly at, but to span out your vision to the side. This relaxes your mind. It gives it that signal that I'm not in danger. I'm not going to be hurt here. And it helps you to relax more and release some of that stress.
Cool.
The other one that she suggested also was peripheral sound. Again, this one, you close your eyes and you know the general sounds you always pick up on, but maybe you choose a piece of music and you listen for the lower sounds, the ones that aren't so obvious. You know, whatever that music piece is, or even in your home. A lot of times, I've never realized it, but one of the things we noticed when we started recording the first time is the microphone picked up the sound of the furnace running. So we had to turn off the furnace because it was so loud. But then I became more aware that those sounds are happening, and I was able to reduce each one of those. I wouldn't have done that before. So it's really becoming more aware of what's going on inside and paying attention to how that's affecting you, and then lowering that effect on you. So, and David did a great job. He only needed 1 stone, but you know what? We may need more than 1 stone, and I think we do right now. And we will have that same success that he had. I believe that his core idea that he aligned with is that there's a God stronger than this threat in front of me, that there's a spirit in me that is guiding me and will show me the way beyond this situation. And he demonstrated that, and I think we will too.
I'll tell you what, can we demonstrate the 4-count breathing? You
Sure.
count and tell me what to do, and you count, and I'll do.
Okay.
So when I breathe in at 4 counts,
Breathe in at 4,
then
and
hold
then
it.
hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, keep it out for 4.
And then start again.
Start again.
Okay.
Are you ready?
And you all can join us too.
All right.
So, ready? I'm going to start to breathe in, right?
Okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, what that does is it focuses my mind on breathing, not my problems.
It does.
Not what's going on. And I was totally counting, I was thinking, so I liked that one. And the other one was just to count back from 10, is that right?
Yeah, count back from 10.
Okay.
The idea is to get as much oxygen into your system And the more oxygen you get, the better you're going to feel, the more relaxed you'll feel too.
Wow. Okay. So to me, what this is telling me is that I have to believe in the power in myself more than I believe in the power of the coronavirus.
Yeah.
That's what I think is my takeaway from this. And look at all these smooth stones we have to sling at this thing, and keep ourselves and keep our families safe and be healthy. And we can work on simply being healthy, and we go for our walks every day and our exercises, and we can use this time. I've issued a Facebook post this week about use it as a time to learn, learn something new. And so yeah, I'm liking this.
And to remind your special somebody others to keep breathing.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes he has to remind me.
Yeah. Never mind 4 times, just breathe, period. And then we'll get into the 4 count, right?
It's true. It's true.
Wow. And let's see, I think we need to say too that, well, I feel pretty complete with this. Do you?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to remind our viewers and those who will be viewing that this will be available on the website in a
Probably
day or so.
within a day. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that following this presentation, this talk, we're going to switch over to Zoom, and you have the link to that meeting. I think you sent it out on your e-blast, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
And we'll open that meeting up to all of you to make comments or to say hi to each other. And are we limited to 40 minutes or no?
Not this time.
Okay, because Carol Hubner.
Carol Hubner has been gracious enough to help us out with that. She has an account with them, so we will. I think we should probably time it out at about an hour and a half. So I feel like we'll do our best there. So we can complete this time though with our prayer for protection. How about that?
Yep.
Okay. So all together.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
God
and
bless.
So it is.
Take care. Stay healthy. Stay well.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.